Alrighty, lumberjacks, welcome to the tutorial for the Griffin forestry helicopter. I figured I'd release this video a little bit earlier, even before Patreons get it, just to kind of give everybody a heads up on how it operates. The teaser video for it just came out recently, and I've had tons of questions, and a whole bunch of people wanted to know how it's going to work. So I figured I'd give out this little video to kind of give you guys a heads up before it does come out. This is going to be public on May 18th. That's the deadline date we have to make sure all the issues are figured out and make sure it works well. So far it's been acting really well, but there's still lots of testing that needs to be done. But I'll give you guys a quick tutorial on how it works. So basically these are a type of forestry helicopter that are used in Canada currently, or well, not so much anymore as they used to be, but they still do use them. They use them for construction as well. It's based off of a model called the CH-54, which is basically a cargo carrying helicopter. Some of them are water bombers. They do all kinds of stuff with them. But what we've done with this one is we've added the winch onto the bottom here, so we can winch up our own stuff. So it should be fun. So yeah, once you hop in, you can fire her up. It does take a few seconds to get rolling, but you'll know she's good to go when she does a little float off the ground there. So now it is all good to go and ready to fly. The left mouse button raises it, right mouse button lowers it. So that kind of gives you better control left and right. If you do want to actually turn the machine, it is your D and A keys, just like you're turning a machine. So it kind of gives you more of a pivoty kind of roll. And then your W and S drive you forward and backwards. Obviously, you can set these controls to whatever you want. I just use mouse and keyboard because it's actually really comfortable for me after playing lots of games that have those same controls. Yeah, so like I said, you can tour around the maps, you can switch your views, first person. You have this nice load cam down here. That one works out quite well. This one's really great for carrying stuff, which you'll see here once we start picking some things up. But first person's really nice if you want to get kind of a closer feel of things. It's entirely up to you how you want to fly it, but just letting you know what options you do have available. So I've gone ahead and I've cut this little tiny patch of trees right here. So in multiplayer, if you're playing in multiplayer with another guy, whoever's hosting the game is the person who's the pilot. Currently, as of yet, we cannot make it so both people can fly the helicopter. So whoever's hosting the match is the one who actually is going to be the pilot. And then whoever your guest is who joins your game will be able to attach the logs on. So this thing has the same as the line skidder. It's got a line script on the bottom of it. So basically all you have to do is, if you have another guy on the ground in multiplayer, is fly over your pile. So in this case, we're pretty much over top of it here. Just kind of hover over top of your pile and then have your buddy run down there. Press B while looking at the logs and it'll winch them all up and hook them up. Then you can run the winch just like normal by turning it on and pulling it up to the machine and all that stuff. In this case, in single player, which I've done lots of now, what you want to do is you want to give yourself a little bit of a distance between the pile and you. So in this case, I'm going to land it right over here on the road. Bring it down nice and gentle here. You can hop out, leave it running. Like I said, I have it on the auto, or the non-auto, so you can manually start your machines. So I just leave it running. Try not to cut any body parts off on the back end of the machine. So like I said, there's a good distance between me and the pile here. You can make that as short or as long as you want and adjust it after. So you don't want to haul more than what's right here at this current time. You probably can experiment with it a bit more, but if you try to bring 20 logs in one shot, the machine's going to glitch out and it won't be a good time. So generally this is probably more than enough for bringing it. So you go over top, press B to hook on, hook all the corresponding logs around it that you want to carry. So that's a pretty decent load, and in real life that would be probably even too much for a helicopter. That's a lot of weight right there, so we'll give it a shot. So our winch is all hooked up, things going. Now as soon as you get in it, it'll lift you off the ground a bit. If you press X on your keyboard, what'll happen is it opens the line up so it's just free. It won't be pulling the logs yet. So as you can see, I fly around. The higher I get, X, there we go. So now it's loose. Make sure you turn your winch on, so press B. So now that it's loose, like I said, they move around a little bit, but not too bad on the ground. Once you feel you're at an ideal height for how far you want to be away from the logs, press Z or just tap it to winch up your load. Again, this will only work if the thing's on. By pressing B, you have to turn your winch on. So I generally like to keep a pretty good distance between me and the load. So I'll winch it up a little more here. Probably there. Even that's a little close to the machine. Prefer more than I'd like. So I generally switch to the load cam, which is the third one here. That way I can get a really good view. By holding the left mouse button, you fly up in the air just like so. You want to get pretty high in the air because those trees are very long and very far down there. The further the distance between you and that load, the more control you're going to have of it. So if you bring that load really close to the machine, it's going to be glitchy. So by keeping that nice distance from the machine, it's pretty balanced. Now you can just drive away really fast by just hammering on W, but what'll happen is you'll start to get some sway in that load. It'll come whipping forward and your helicopter's going to do some funky stuff. It will balance out and you can fly it at full speed, but you'll notice it does like to move around and sway. So what I generally recommend is if you're coming in for a landing, like to dump the logs, you just kind of tap the W key a little bit, make sure there's not too much of an arc between you and that pile, and then just kind of, you can control it. You'll figure out kind of a nice groove for what feels good for you for flying it. But just remember, any abrupt stops and that load is going to come flying around the front like that. So you got to let it settle. You have to just kind of take it easy, let it settle down a little bit, then you can go in and drop. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drop it on this main road right over here. Actually, maybe we'll take it over to this other side of the road here. So the more you swing it around, the more crazy you get with it, the more out of control the physics will get. That's kind of, it's even, in real life, it's the same advice for most chopper pilots, so you want to let that thing just get settled. The chopper is going to try to swing around, get a little crazy here. If you feel it's out of control, like it's just way too much, bring it right down to the ground so it taps against something, and it'll actually slow it down. So right now they're touched the ground, they're just balancing right there. So then if you feel like it's really out of control, just kind of do that, straightens it out. It does stay kind of on the straight and narrow now, so what we want to do is kind of drop it on this little road here. So what I do is I'll bring it down so that the tops just kind of gently hit the ground and then swing down, and then you can kind of walk it in. You can even skid it along this road if you really wanted to. It's all up to you and your control method and what works better for you. You can always hit X to release the cable to really bring them down, and then Z to choke up on it if you feel you need some space. So you can, like I said, you can use it to drag them along the road if you really wanted to, if you wanted to bring it to a different spot. But it's a really good way to control where you want. If you bring it ahead too much, you can always back it up a little bit. It does give you a lot of room and a lot of play to do the loads. So as soon as you actually have dropped it where you want, it has an automatic release, so you just hit Shift plus B. That unhooks the load, so now you're free to whip around and go back out and grab another pile. So yeah, it's a pretty straightforward operation. It's a really easy machine to run. You just have to get used to the physics, and like any machine, it does take a little bit of playing around to get used to that. It does have, oh yeah, it does have a drop light that I put on it now. Didn't in the last version, but it's got drop lights on the front and back, so you can actually do it at nighttime if you're doing night logging too. So that's kind of nice. So we'll put her down here real quick. So yeah, that's basically the operation of the Griffin. Like I said, single player you can totally do it to hook onto these guys, or multiplayer is a lot of fun too if you got a buddy up in the block stacking them up for you, and you can just fly up there, grab the wood, bring it back down. I'm going to be testing this out with our multiplayer crew here probably in the next coming weeks, so it should be pretty exciting. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the tutorial. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Don't forget to subscribe if you do like the content. Talk to you guys later.